You're listening to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and hope you enjoyed part one with offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. I thoroughly enjoyed doing it with him. There's no question about that. And he's got a lot of interesting tidbits for you in part two. Hope you enjoy that as well. Joe Burrow set such a high bar, of performance, and his expectation of himself is such a high bar. It's almost an unreachable bar. The expectations that he puts on himself, but for now, seeing him healthy, totally healthy for the first time, there's room for growth there. I mean, Joe Burrow can be even a better version of himself, can he? I mean, in terms of consistency of performance, I guess, would that be the biggest thing? Is everybody strives to be, no peaks and valleys. Boy, you give the coaching staff the same performance. No, you can expect this out of me every week, coach. It's not going to be high, low, high, low. Is that the biggest thing for Joe at this point?
He's been pretty consistent. I think there's always room for guys. He's still a young player.
Right.
He's still learning things. He's still formulating a little bit of how he wants to attack people. But he's starting to think more like a coach, and he's starting to think more like a play caller where, when he sees a particular look, we're always talking through what would be a better play here? What's a better option? What would you check to here? And then we let him do it. He's got the freedom to do all those things. And I think that's where his growth this offseason has been probably the most fun to watch, is his command and mastery over the offense, being in it now for 3 years and really understanding what we're trying to get accomplished. And his command over it has been really fun to watch. And I think it's only going to get better. Ideally, you have a guy that's been playing in the same system for 20 years, like Brady and Manning and those guys, that they just have such a mastery over what's around them and what's in their pocket,
right.
What kind of clubs are in their bag, if you will, that they can use them at all the right times. And I think that's been really fun to see. And again, you get to do that when you're healthy and you're not rehabbing and you're not in the COVID off season and you're a rookie and all the things that he's had to overcome in his first couple of years. And so this has been a fun off season for Joe's growth as his mental command has been fun to watch.
It is remarkable, all the adversity that you're talking about that he dealt with and faced in his first couple of years is really amazing, and to perform at the level that he performed at, in spite of it, it's really incredible. Kenny Anderson, Boomer Esiason, I remember during the Super Bowl years that they had where they were league MVP, coaches, particularly the offensive coordinator, I'd talk to and say, when they come to the sideline, how much can you trust the information they're giving you? They said, impeccably. I mean, they'll come to the sideline, and I'm up in a lot of times, the offensive coach is up in the booth. The coordinator might be on the sideline, might be up in the booth, but that communication goes on. But those guys would come to the sideline and tell them exactly, what they were seeing as well. And they were amazed that they were seeing it, that those quarterbacks were seeing it on the field so well. Is Joe that type of guy? When he comes to the sideline, can he basically tell you everything that you're seeing up there from the perch up top?
Yeah, he sees it all. That's one of his gifts. That's what separates him from a lot of players in this league, is he's got such an incredible ability to process information and what he sees and how he sees it. And that's not always the case for young quarterbacks. And he sees it so clearly. It makes so much sense to him. He knows where everybody is on the field all the time. And that's a sense that that's a natural sense that he has. But I'll give you an example. We're playing against Kansas City there in that first game, and they're playing a bunch of too high, and they're clouding over to Jamar, and he comes off the field and he goes, "I'm going to throw a hole shot next time. The next time I do that, I'm going to throw a hole shot, and that's going to score." And so he does. He throws that ball to Jamar on the left sideline for a 60-yard touchdown or whatever it was, because he knew it was coming. He knew they weren't getting the landmarks they were supposed to, and he took advantage of it. So his whatever he sees is usually exactly what we're seeing, and that's a great relationship on game day to have, because the conversations can be quick and to the point, and you can solve your problems fast.
Yeah, there's absolutely no question about that. What about a guy like Jamar Chase? We've talked about this before, and I know from experience, having played, that year 1 to year 2 is when you normally make your biggest growth. It's like now you have an idea, You didn't know what you didn't know, and now you have a pretty good idea of what you know, and you can start to make your gains and your improvements. How much better can Jamar Chase be in year 2 than he was in year 1? I mean, there's always room for growth for everybody, but that's almost scary when you look at the records that the combination of Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase set. How much better can it be next year or this season?
Yeah, I think that his ceiling is there is none for him. I mean, he's got the ability to be the best receiver in football, and I think he scratched that surface last year. I think he produced at a level I don't think most of us saw probably when he got here in the fall that would be the case. But he's going to get more attention now too. He's earned it. You know, defenses are going to game plan around him. He's going to start getting treated like a dominant receiver in his league gets treated. You know, you're going to get doubled. You're going to get clouded. People are going to pay a lot more attention to you. So how often you get put one-on-one remains to be seen. But I don't anticipate him having maybe as many opportunities to go beat people one-on-one as he did this past year. I think he earned the right to draw coverage. If, you know, as weird as that sounds, you have to earn that right to get doubled. That's a respect thing. And people respect you like that, you're going to see those types of coverages. And so for Jamar to repeat that production, you know, I think he's fully capable of it. But he can be better. He can be better at the top of his routes. He can be a better route runner. There's a lot of things that he did last year that were really awesome. And then there's definitely room for improvement, just like all players. You know, there's always something in your game that you can refine. And he's got a great coach in Troy Walters that stays on him, that really understands how to play the position, having played it for a better part of a decade.
Right.
You know, they're kindred Blitnikoff winners, so that always is kind of fun to watch. But Troy does such a great job with those guys, and he never lets up on them. And for as much production and success as they've had, he's always on them about every detail. He never lets them slide. So I think he's done a great job with those guys this spring too. It's going to be fun to watch that group be even better this year than I think we were last year.
Over the years, you know, having played with the Bengals and then now doing the broadcast part of things, I always respect the receivers. When I see them blocking the running game, to me, that's where the rubber meets the road. Is the guy a football player? You know, not just a great receiver, but is he a football player? And Jamar Chase now is a football player. That dude will go in there and stick his nose in there and get dirty, man. I love that guy.
I think that's why the offensive linemen love him too. You know, they see those guys working. I think our group as a whole is that way. I mean, TB's been that way since we've been here.
No doubt.
T has done a great job. He's physical. He gets involved in the run game. And Stanley Morgan and Mike Thomas, those guys go in there and do the dirty work. And I think it's appreciated. You know, I would say we probably have the best blocking receiving group in the league for as talented in production and as talented as they are with the production they've had in the past game. I think that's really what stands out more to people. The people that watch football for a living watch it and go, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Really.
And I think that's a testament to who they are as football players and as people. They're great teammates. They're unselfish, and they don't care about anything other than winning. And whatever it takes to win a game, they're willing to do. And you know, for as great of past game players as they are, that's really cool to see. And it doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go unpraised. Those guys know how we feel about them and how important that is. And so do those guys in the offensive line room. They appreciate it. Makes them want to block a little longer in protection if they can, and try to let them get a few more touchdowns when they get a chance. But that's just who our guys are at the receiver spot, and it's really awesome to see them to see that type of unselfishness amongst that position.
Yeah, and you're right, Coach. It's like, you know, when Jamar makes a great block for Joe will go recognize to Jamar, man, I love you. I appreciate that. And then he's going to try to do it for Jamar. You know, when the roles are reversed, everybody tries to step up for each other. Man, you had my back. I'm going to have yours. I mean, that stuff gets contagious, right?
That's when you talk about culture, that's what that means to me.
Right.
That's when you have the right makeup of people that are all doing it for each other, that are doing it because they want to be a part of something that's bigger than just them. And I think our guys feel that way. That's an important part of what Zach's trying to build here and what we've built so far. But those guys embody it, and they keep each other accountable. You know, when Joe Mixon misses a block in pass pro, TB's the first one to let him hear about it. You know, but if TB misses a block in a run game, Joe's not afraid to tell him either. And it's good natured and it's fun, but they're holding each other accountable to do their job. And I think that's a really fun thing to be around when you got a whole unit like that, which which I think we do, and have had here now for a year. And I think it's only gotten better with those guys up front that have come in. They've really stepped up that part of the accountability process in the line room that I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Joe Burrow going into his third year, Jamar Chase going into his second year, T. Higgins going into his third year, Joe Mixon, an old blood going into his sixth. I mean, yeah, that's the old vet.
Hayden Hurst, the old guy now,
Yeah, TB's the old guy going into his seventh year.
Yeah.
Hayden Hurst going into his fifth. Ted Karras going into just his seventh. Cappa going into his fifth. L.C. Collins going into his eighth. He's the old guy. I mean, he's Father Time only going into his eighth year. You have guys that are in the early stages, the infancy stages of their careers, or in the middle of their prime. I mean, you have nobody that's on the back nine. You have guys that are just making the turn. I mean, it's unbelievable how young this football team is collectively.
That's the fun part, that hopefully we can be together and be good for a long time. But I think you have to look back, and I think you got to give a tip of the cap to Duke and his staff for finding these players and drafting them, and knowing that when we got hired in 2019 that we were facing a roster restructure, and that we were looking to get younger, we were looking to get more explosive and faster and all those things. And certainly you get rewarded for being bad. That's just kind of how it works in the NFL. And so we get Joe Burrow, and we've done everything we can to build around him with young talent. And there was already some young talent here in Joe Mixon and Tyler Boyd. And we've added a bunch of pieces since then. And I think that really that's a huge testament to Duke and our scouting staff, and how well we've drafted over these last couple of years since we've been here, and built our roster in a manner that has a bunch of young talent that hopefully is stable to be good for a long time. And that's what you want. You want sustainability and longevity in this league. And I think we've built a good roster that has that ability.
Are you pleased with what Frank's done with the rebuilding of the offensive line, the three veteran guys we talked about that were picked up, and then Volson in the draft as a fourth rounder? In terms of what you saw at the organized team activities, these guys obviously kind of unlearn and relearn for the veterans, but then Volson, his ability to grasp and comprehend, was it all there for you?
Oh yeah, it's been a fun group to watch work, and they've, between Ted and Kappa and LC, they've really upped the ante of the expectation of that room. They're pros, all three of them. I mean, they're everything that you would want in a group of linemen. And Jonah, don't forget about Jonah. He's quietly been a really productive, solid left tackle, and we're going to have a fun battle for the interior spots and roster spots. I think we're as deep as we've been in the offensive line in 3 years. I think we got good young talent. Cordell's been good, fun to watch and see how he's acclimated. But at the end of the day, as the pads are what matters. And so when we start putting pads on, we'll see where everybody's at. But I think Jackson's really quietly had a really nice spring. And I'm excited to see what this battle is going to look like. I think the level of expectation has been raised, and I think we got a bunch of guys that are trying to meet it. And I think that's exciting. So it's going to be fun to watch. Who knows what's going to look like here in June, but we're going to find out pretty quickly when we get into August.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's exciting to me. Like we talked about, Joe getting sacked 70 times and then hit on top of that, and still rewriting the record book to the extent that he did. And, I'm thinking, boy, there are quadrants of the field, areas of the field we really couldn't even attack the way we wanted to because we didn't have time to get that done. Mm-hmm. Different route trees, combinations that we could run now that maybe we couldn't before because we didn't have time. It could look so much different, couldn't it?
That's the part that's exciting is we've got some areas that we can explore that hopefully we'll be able to, then in areas that we haven't been in the last previous years. We haven't pushed the ball on some of these deep play actions that some teams run, and we have the players to do it with on the perimeter. It's hard to drop back, play action 7 steps and hold the ball and do all that when you're struggling to hold up against the pressure. Now, some of that's just the players we play against. It's hard to hold up against TJ Watt and Myles Garrett in the division twice a year, and all these guys that are in the AFC now. So some of that is just a product of the teams that we're facing. No matter how good we get up front, those guys are still really good players. But yeah, there's an element of our offense that I think that we haven't been able to get to that hopefully will allow us to this year that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, that you talk about the depth in the offensive line. When you mentioned Myles Garrett, I was thinking about that Cleveland game of Deontay Smith out there doing a pretty damn good job against Myles Garrett. And I'm thinking, man, now let's not forget about Deontay, because he was on the cusp of maybe breaking into some serious playing time, gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, when I watched him playing that last game against Myles Garrett, I'm saying, yeah, Deontay Smith, man, that dude's got some talent.
Yeah, Deontay's been great. He's on track. He was a developmental player when we drafted him, and he's developed. And I think that it's going to be fun to watch him continue to grow. Isaiah played a lot of football for us on the right side, and Isaiah proved to be a solid football player that when in a pinch he can come play football for you and play well. And he learned a lot playing as much as he did. It probably was a lot for him over the course of the season. He played, I think, 12 games, played in a Super Bowl. And played against some really good players, and so I think he's going to grow a lot from that experience. So we have young, experienced players that hopefully are only going to continue to get better. And then obviously the young guys with Cordell and Ben Brown and some of the guys we signed as free agents and Trey Hill from last year as well. I mean, he got some experience. So we've had a bunch of young guys that have played some football that hopefully understand how much better they can be, how much better they need to be. But we got good, solid depth. I'm excited about, like I said, the competition for those spots, for the active roster and the game day roster. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Coach, you were part of a team that played in the longest season in NFL history. I mean, the season went until Valentine's Day, for crying out loud. It's beyond. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. And you guys have been grinding and get right to it in the off season. And so now you're going to be able to get your head up above water a little bit and spend some family time. Any big plans, Coach?
No, like I said, taking my kids to Disney World this Sunday for a few days, so that'll be fun. I'll just go sweat in Orlando and wait in lines with my kids. They'll be excited about it, and then my in-laws have a place up in upstate New York on a lake, and so we'll go spend some time up there, and then I'm going to meet my family, all my brothers and sisters and their kids, and my mom and dad down in Key Island for a week down in South Carolina. So summer's kind of the family time. That's when everybody gets together because, we don't get Christmas or Thanksgiving or any of those things. We're pretty well in the grind. And so it's my chance to see both sides of my family and get to spend some quality time with them and not have to worry about football for a few weeks. But you hit about 4th of July and it's hard to avoid it. I might open my computer up. I might look at a thing or two. It's just kind of how it works. So, but I'm looking forward to a little bit of time with my family and taking a break and loading up and getting to do it again.
So when you get together with your side of the family and your dad, Bill Callahan, legendary coach, just head coach, offensive line coach extraordinaire, Cleveland Browns offensive line coach now, and does a tremendous job. When you guys are together on vacation, does it end up being any football discussions there, Coach, or do you guys put all that aside and just stay in the vacation aspect of things?
No, we definitely find time to talk some football. I mean, it's like going for us. That's like you go fishing with your dad or something. Like my dad and I talk football. That's what we do.
Sure,
We've done it for a long time, and so we'll have discussions and we'll talk through some things, and we enjoy talking about it. So it's fun for us. It's a way that we connect. And but there's a lot of grandkids now that he's got to worry about. So he'll have his hands full with them too. So it'll be maybe a little bit less than some years, but we definitely will find some time to talk some ball.
Obviously, he would be your mentor as such, your father, and being not only your dad, but a football mentor as well, and filling both roles incredibly well. Any other football mentors? Anybody else besides your dad that you lean on just to talk a little football?
There's a lot of guys that I've come up with around the league that are now head coaches and coordinators and guys that I've spent a lot of time with over the years.
Sure.
One of my biggest mentors for a long time was Eric Studesville, who's the running backs coach for the Dolphins. He gave me I worked with him my first year in the league, and he's always been someone I've leaned on when things have come up, and talking personnel and football and all those things. And then Mike McCoy and Adam Gase were two guys that spent a lot of time with me as a young quality control coach, invested a lot of time in me that I've always was very appreciative of. And so I enjoy catching up with those guys when I get a minute. Both guys have obviously had a lot of success in their careers. both been head coaches. I had them multiple times, but so those are kind of the guys that I was with in Denver are usually the people that I lean on the most.
Sure.
Jim Bob Cooter is another one who's the greatest name in SEC history.
No doubt.
But he's in Jacksonville now, but he's another a contemporary of mine that I've worked with in two different places that sees the game the same as I do. But yeah, I've been fortunate to be around some pretty good coaches that have invested a lot of time in me. So I try to repay the favor and hopefully get a chance to catch up with them all this summer is usually when I try to catch up with them too. So
awesome.
Yep.
Well, Coach, you're a pretty good coach yourself, and we appreciate your
Thanks,
time as always. You're very generous with it, as you always are. And go enjoy this time. It's well earned and well deserved, sir. I mean, man,
I'm looking forward to it.
you've been burning some hours up. Unbelievable.
Yeah. It's been a short and fast off season. That's for sure. It feels like it too.
Yeah, I bet.
It feels like it.
Well, congratulations on all the successes and continued success. That's run it back, as they say. Never easy to do, but what the heck, might as well try, right?
That's right. That's the plan. I'm trying to get back there again, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. That's why we all do it, is to get a chance to go compete for a championship.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your family, sir.
We'll do, Lap. You enjoy a little bit of a break, and I'll see you when we come back.
Look forward to it.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right. You know,
gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.